So very good morning, everybody. Today is the fourth day of our presentations of semester two students. We are having this season for uh, from 11 to 15. We are having this presentations going on. And today we have in this morning session presentations by this group. You see the list of the things they are going to read on Indian and Western poetics. The list of the students, let us see for this morning's talk. So we'll start with the first one, that is Upasana, and she will be presentation on exploring biblical archetypes in Moby. Trushali will read on a comparative study of Bharat's Natyashastra and Aristotle's Poetics. Rinkal will read on the death of the author with reference to practical criticism. The death of the author also, if you want to put both, then both should be in single inverted comma. You put one single inverted comma after author, but you have not put that before the also. Riddhi on an essential theory of the Rasa in Natyashastra and Indian cinema. Rajeshvariba on comparison of Frye and Jung and their ideas, their plural you have to use, ideas of archetypal literature. Capital L idea, capital I, capitalization in the title is very significant. This again is something that every day I have to remind. So just capitalization in title. All keywords, main words, except for the small letters like of, the, and preposition, they are not capitalized. All other words are capitalized. So this also very difficult to see that why only this we cannot remember when we frame titles. Pooja, the emotions that literature can evoke, an introduction to Rasa theory. Payal will read on understanding of Richard's four kinds of meaning and two kinds of metaphors. Nirali will read on Auchitya. Mansi's presentation on literary examples. You will deal with more than one example, not only one example. So, and plural examples of archetypal criticism. And Insia Fatima will read on archetypal criticism and colors as an archetype. So, this again you are repeating the word archetypal two times. So, you need to reframe this title also. Okay, so let us start with the first one. Upasana, you can start your presentation.
Very good morning, all of you. My name is Upasana Goswami. Today I will present exploring biblical archetypes in Moby Dick. These are my personal information.
Sharing is
स्ट्रीम यार्ड में पहला प्रेजेंट करવાનું છે એ ખુલ્લું હતું એટલે સારું અહીં હજુ Very good morning, all of you. My name is Upasana Goswami. Today I will present exploring biblical archetypes in Moby Dick. These are my personal information. uh, Key points of which I discuss in our presentation. What is an archetypes? Archetypes and archetypal criticism. Archetype and archetypal criticism. Biblical archetypes in Moby Dick. Biblical archetypes of character and their implication. Islam's Captain Ahab, Captain Bildad and Starbuck. Biblical archetypes of theme and then conclusion. What is an archetype? Recurrent motif first from or a set pattern of behavior. Archetypes, Jung says, are the living system of reaction and attitude that determine the individual life invisible ways. We observe archetypes in every character of our personal dreams, the story we read, the film we watch, the art we admire, and the collective myth we share. Example of common character archetypes include the mother, the father, the children, shadow person, magician, the hero, and the trickster, among other. Each character act out certain patterns of behavior that we have become attuned to over time. The archetypes says Jungian psychologist Mary Lewis, when one friends are inherited dispositions which cause us to react in a typical way to basic human problem, inner or outer. These are the form of the archetype study behavior. Archetypes are the form which the insected assume they are sort of like 60 personality for the soul emotion. When you experience an emotion, it is the emotion of archetypes. For example, lovers are passionate, sadist, and hateful. Worries are courageous. Meaning, archetypes help us make sense of our inner world and emotions. Like throughout the archetypes, we are able to understand more about who we are and what deserve us. We see ourselves reacted in an image known as the archetypal image of the archetypes at the surrounded us both in the world and in our unconscious ridicule. Every word or image represent an archetype. Situation and situational archetypes. Example: the quiz, the initial, the journey, the fall, the death, and the rebirth. The battle between good and evil, the ritual. Symbolic archetypes. These are the example: light versus darkness, water versus desert, heaven versus wilderness, ocean and fair, the color black or the color white. Character archetypes. For example, the hero, the outcast, the temperance, the monitor pupil, relationship, the father son, conflict, the initiates of the wise old man. Archetype and archetypal criticism. The word archetypes consists of two parts, archetypes and the types. It was first been used by the ancient Greek philosophy, Plato. According to Jews, archetype is an equivalent to the episode, one of the words regularly employed by plot in reference to the theory of idea of form, judging parallels to the Platonic. The architecture as a such, and he described it as an inherited mode of physics functioning or pattern of institution behavior belonging to collective unconsciousness. biblical archetypes in the Moby Dick. Due to the meaningful influence of the architectural criticism in Western literature study and culture, many borrowed various archetypes from Milton, Homer, Shakespeare, etc. In present their work. Interpreted their work. Popes analyzed the Jungian archetypes in Manuel's work and found that they are archetypes such as a great mother, the shadow, the winds, old man, etc. All these symbols change their tendency and significance during the course of Melville's writer career. Gentile took Moby Dick as a palindromic image archetypes. Jacek found that when writing, Moby Dick is a Melville's respond to either consciously or unconsciously to the archetypes presence in the play and the transformed it into his own idiom. Novel fact, he did the expressing in his symbol of a transformation and adopted the mother hero archetypes to view Moby Dick. Frye one pointed out that some specific symbol may expanded our many works into the archetypal symbol of literature as well. Thus, Moby Dick cannot remain in Melville's novel. He is a absorbed into the imaginative experience of lavishness and the dragon of the deep form of the Old Testament. Then onward, biblical archetypes of characters and their implication. Frye discussed the significance of character archetypes in myth, in importance of the god and hero in the myth lies in the fact that such characters and they gradually build up the vision of the omnipotent personal community beyond the idea indifferent nature. Payal further mentioned that most of Melville's characters carry biblical name, and the novel is full of other biblical name and allusion. Melville's use a name like Ishmael, Ishmael and Ahab invites us to read Moby Dick in the way that the Puritans read the Bible. Read the Bible. This section will make an analysis of the Bible archetypes of a Moby Dick and see into the character such as the Ismail, Ahab, Starbuck, Captain Bildad, and their implications. Uh, First of all, Ismail, the narrator, Ismail and his biblical archetypes share some similarities at the very beginning of this novel. He was first at lonely and totally disappeared. He thought it high time to get to see as soon as I can. But on board, he developed a friendship with cannibal. Kyukyujen in him he saved the dresses a simple honest heart and they two even form to cause loving pair of water. Ismail grow beyond the drizzle. November self Manuel elaborate craft and allegory. Just by vague point of view, truth is to be a south in the solitary wilderness. From Ismail and his archetype, they are both in a quest for a truth. He can easily be associated with King Ahab in the Old Testament. King Ahab is a seventh king of the northern kingdom of the Israel after the division of the ancient Israel nation. It can be said that the fate of Ahab is dominated by King Ahab, and the character of King Ahab provide the genes of Ahab's on on the one hand, Ahab immortalized the scamming and a talented side of his archetypes as the rule. King Ahab married Jezebel, Phoenician, the daughter of King Sidon. This second character, Captain Ahab. Unlike the Ismail was is a good Christianity, born and bred in the bosom on inflammable presence by train church. Ahab is a pagan, and his name just heralded a tragic ending even before Ismail meets him. Captain Ahab was told by Captain Plagan he is a grand, ungoodly, godlike man, Captain Ahab. Oh, he ain't the Captain Bildad. No, he ain't the Captain Plagan. He Ahab boys and Ahab of old. Those not was a crowned king. God like make him a transcend the human realm and endows endows him with archetype theory. He is a made of the fate of the archetypes. Uh, Character of King Ahab provide the chance of Ahab's on the one hand. Ahab implies the scamming and talented side of archetypes. The first met Starbuck when fighting against Israel horrors. He could not withstand a spiritual terror. It was the deep fear caused by Ahab's great evil willpower that prevented him from taking action. Thus, it could only happen hopelessly watch Piquant fall into the apps of destiny. The opposite and unfelt relationship between Ahab and Starbuck is extremely the is morific. Each of the relationship between King Ahab and Obadiah, the chief of his house in the book of King, Obadiah really avoid the Lord, but due to star, he only addressed silence seeking Ahab. Alertians when the Captain Bildad, third character was Captain Bildad. He has always hated the cannibalism behavior, but he spent most of his life with a well, making them shed large buckets of blood or joy. When Piquant was a setting seal, he reminded everyone, don't forget your prayers either. Don't well too much Lord's Day, man, but don't miss a fair chance either. That rejecting heaven's good gift, rejecting heaven a good gift, good gift. The advice of Bildas, the hated for a job, did not violent religions and business, but Captain Bildas words were for his business profit. What's interesting is the job was able to proper after all. Well, Bildas, the owner of the ship, fell into the sea. The contract constitute the ultimately irony. There are still other archetypes in Moby Dick. Elijah, Wu, Ismail, and Kukwing incoted before bordering Pickward. The name is from Tishabit prophet Elijah Gabriel, the Neshkian and Shaker. His name can also be associated to Ahijah from the Book of the Kings. Biblical archetypes of theme. Since archetypes criticism provide us with a possibility of seeing a literature as a complication of the relativity restated and a simple group of a formula that can be studied in a primitive culture. Then the search for an archetype is a kind of a literary uh, author anthropology, and the profound masterpiece seems to draw us to a point which we can see an innumerous number of converging pattern of significance throughout Father Maple's preach. Ahab destiny has already been for sins, which is whoever gone against the gods will be punished. Will be punished as what has been mentioned above. Melville is a devout Christian. The environment in which lived from a young age molded his faith in God, originally seen at the basic doctrines which teach people to obey God's will and to worship God, but to disobey God. Conclusion. Throughout the archetypes in Moby Dick, especially the interpretation of a biblical archetypes, characters, and the refoundation of biblical theme, this paper the relevance man will unique creative skill with his effective as a Bible, and the exploring of the Bible archetypal theme also encourages the significance of the novel. Although he believes that human being should abuse obey a god, Melville also expressed his doubt about a god from another angel in a world. But biblical architectural study provide us a new perspective to reflect on the relationship between good and evil, and the human greediness and arrogance. Arrogance when human beings are destroying nature and plundering resources for economic development. Perhaps this novel can bring us a more practical significance. But biblical architecture study on Moby Dick. These are given from a chat GPT. Moby Dick, written by Hamas Manville, is a novel that contains several biblical archetypes, including the story of John and the Garden of the Ants, and the concept of the fallen hero. One of the most prominent Bible archetypes in Moby Dick is the story of John and the well. Captain Ahab, the protagonist of this novel, is on a quit from a revenge against the white whale. Moby Dick, much like a John, was on a mission to warn the people of Navish. In both cases, the character are showed by a sea creature and image the change by the expressing. The Garden of the Eden is also significant biblical archetypes in a Moby Dick. Ismail, the narrator of the novel, described the whaling ship, the Piquant, as a words of itself, and floating the cathedral. This idea of self-contained world on the sea, in which the story and of Adam and Eve in the garden of in the Garden of Eden, where they were surrounded by the perfect world until the were trimmed by the serpent and the cast out. Finally, the concept of the fallen hero is present in Moby Dick. Captain Ahab is a tragic hero who become obsessed with the quits of a revenge. Leading of this downfall, these dimensions of the biblical figures such as Samson, Sam, who fell from grace due their own period of obligation. Overall, Moby Dick contains several biblical archetypes that add a defect and the meaning to the story. These are my works cited. If any question, you can ask me.
Upasana, How does the use of archetypes contribute the overall meaning of the novel Moby Dick?
Contribute the overall meaning of the novel in Moby Dick. The architectural overall architectural meaning is the exploring this novel exploring the human like universal human experience and making work literally. So this novel.
Upasana, how does the character of Ahab in Moby Dick exemplify the archetype of the biblical figure?
Character of Ahab in Moby Dick exemplified the archetypes. The Captain Ahab. There are so many questions for a god. There are so many questions to the god, and there are so many questions to the god, and they're suffering. Ahab in this novel we can see the suffering of Ahab and so many questions to the god and. God and he was that's all it was that so exploring the may I start?
Yes.
Very good morning to all. Today, on the fourth day of presentation on Indian and Western criticism, I am going to make my presentation on a comparative study of Bharat's Natyashastra and Aristotle's Poetics. These are my personal details, and these are the points that I'm going to discuss in the presentation. Let's first begin with the introduction. Indian literary criticism has always been rich in its tradition, and Natya Shastra is one of the most important example of it because Natya Shastra is considered as the earliest work of criticism or poetics available in literature. Natya means play or drama or act, which generally deals with the theatrical arts. So Bharat was the first who tries various ideas related to theatrical arts. Bharat Muni is also considered as father of Indian performative art. In Natya Shastra, he explores the fields related to the performing art. So, it is mistake. Aristotle, in comparison of him, Aristotle is a Greek philosopher who also tries to explore his ideas related to play in his work, The Poetics, around 335 BC. Now, what is Natyashastra and Poetics? Natyashastra is a principal work of performance art theory encompassing dance and music, which is divided in 36 adhyayas. As I have took the reference where 36 adhyayas are there, but there is a kind of dispute regarding is there 36 or 37 adhyay in this work Natyashastra. This On the other side, poetics is a work of Greek dramatic theory. classical Indian concept of the drama, including dance, music, poetics, and general aesthetics. It also deals with with origin of poetics, definition of drama, prosody, rasas, and bhavas, and many other things like how the construction of the theater and related to that. Whereas the poetics is the series of notes that Aristotle would have used when he lectured. It is a forms of it deals with the ideas of forms of poetry, comedy, tragedy, and epic. Now, what are the difference and similarities between Natyashastra and Poetics? Natyashastra is considered as first treatise in Sanskrit literature or in world literature on drama or Natya, whereas Poetics is a first treatise in Greek literature on poetics. Natya Shastra deals with the origin of the dramatic techniques, which deals with the overall performance, overall form of drama and performative art, whereas the Poetics by Aristotle only deals with poetics, not overall form of drama. In Natya Shastra, there is a theory of anukarana means imitation, and on the other hand, there is mimesis described by Aristotle, which also means imitation. In both the works, it is described that there is harmony of music, then acting, dance, and all the things which makes impact on which make theatrical performances impactful. I have forgot to mention here in poetics. Sorry, it is here. In Natya Shastra, there are rasas. Eight main rasas are there, whereas Aristotle only talks about comedy and tragedy, where he talks about catharsis, which means purgation. Uh, the most striking similarity in poetics and Natya Shastra is when both the author try to drive the effect of drama on the audience. So the most and first similarities between the Natya Shastra and the poetics, it is that both tries to derive a kind of impact of drama on the audience. Now let's try to look at rasa theory and ras theory and catharsis. In chapter 6 of Natya Shastra, Bharat talks about ras theory. Readers which deals with readers total emotional response to the text, and which also talks about dominant emotion of the work. A work of art is artistic only when it evokes the experience of rasa. So in any literary work there should be one not literary art but performative art, there should be one dominant ras or emotions uh, which make audience connected with the art. There are eight main rasas as Bharat described in the chapter number 6 of Natya Shastra. Shungaradi Bhavet Hasyo Rodracha Karuno Rasah Viroche Vada Bhutotpati Bibhatsacha Bhayanaka. It describes Shungar, हास्य, रौद्र, करुण, वीर, अद्भुत, बिभत्स, and bhayanak. Eight rasas are there. And how this ras nishpatti is possible? So he gives another another in another shlok he gives this how this ras nishpatti is being done. So in the same chapter he says vibhavanubhav vyabhichari sanyogat ras nishpatti. Vibhav, anubhav, vyabhichari bhav and sanchari bhav, when three are being combined, and when something is happen out of that is called ras nishpatti. And this ras nishpatti is also can be seen in Aristotle's words, like Vibhav, when characters feel that character is not himself, but he becomes what is being performed by the character. So that is vibhav, and anubhav is imitation of action. That's what Aristotle says about the when he talks about tragedy and definition of tragedy. There is also change of fortune described by Aristotle, which deals with anubhav, reaction, and out of that this ras nishpatti happens. uh, this leads exposition of same emotion between the reader and the character, and a reader or a observer or observer of the art, literary art, tries to imitate the emotions which is expressed by the character himself. Whereas Aristotle talks about only comic and tragic emotions, he does not. He didn't deal with the ideas which are described by Bharat Muni in Natyashastra, where Bharat Muni talks about all eight rasas in his work. In Aristotle, there are two main emotions are there: comic and tragic. Comedy is an imitation of characters of a lower type. A comic mask is ugly and distorted but does not imply any kind of a pain. Whereas in a in the Poetics, Aristotle uses a word catharsis, which means purgation or purification of the emotions such as pity and fear, primarily through the art. He talks about tragedy. Tragedy is an imitation of an action that is serious, complete, and of a certain magnitude, through which pity and fear affecting the proper purgation of this emotion. Now, pity means karundras, which is described by Bharat in his Natyashastra. It can also be seen here, and fear is also seen here. Now this is the response which is generated by chat gpt, and these responses are very much connected to what I have asked to that, and it gave me similarities and differences, and also a kind of description of what is Natyashastra and Aristotle poetics. Like he describes that both works were written over 2000 years ago and are still studied and debated by scholars today. While Natyashastra was written in ancient in India and Poetics in ancient Greece, they both offer insights into the nature of drama, the role of the artist, and the relationships between art and society. He gives it gives me some similarities, like both works define the purpose of drama as being to imitate human action. Both discusses the importance of plot, character, and language in drama, emphasize the role of the artist in creating and shaping the drama, and a relation between drama and society, which is, I think this last point is not very much clear in both the works. Now, these are the differences. Like Natya Shastra is focused primarily on dance and drama, while Poetics deals specifically with tragedy. And this is so because Aristotle talks about the overall poetics a lot, but in that he gives major impact on what is tragedy and how this the plot and other things related to tragedy can be seen and can be created. Natya Shastra places a greater emphasis on the spiritual and religious aspect of drama, while poetics is more concerned with the aesthetics of tragedy. The Natya Shastra has a more elaborate system for categorizing characters and emotions, while poetics focus on more on cathartic effect of tragedy. The Natya Shastra has a more detailed discussion of the technical aspect of the performance, while Poetics is more focused on the literary and philosophical aspects of the drama. So this response is very quite reliable, though some points are quite confusing, but a good response I got from ChatGPT. So, to conclude, I would say that lots of similarities as well as differences are there in Natyashastra as well as in the Poetics by Aristotle. Bharat's Natyashastra remains rich in overall performative art, whereas Aristotle gives a keen observation to imitation and tragedy. So, in their respective field, both are have a kind of richness in their own. The main goal of both this work is understanding and appreciation of performative arts. These are the works which I have cited in my presentation. Thank you. Now I'm open for questions.
Trushali, how do Bharat's Natyashastra define relationship to the audience?
Yes, when Bharat talks about eight rasas, he describes that when a particular character is performing when any kind of work of art is being performed or read, a reader tries to imitate those actions, try to feel that emotions, and through that the reader or the observer compares himself with the work of art. So this is how the relationship between the audience and the work of art is being defined by Bharat in his Natyashastra.
Trushali, what you like most in Aristotle poetry and Bharat's Natyashastra?
What do you like? Yeah. In the one thing that I like the most in both this work is that uh, uh, Bharat's Natya Shastra is talking about all the aspects of Natya Kala, where he talks about rasas and creating how to create drama, origin of the drama, and all that things. In which the rasas are most important things, because he tells that goes beyond the six rasas which is given by God or the nature. So he describes eight rasas, and on the other side, Aristotle talks about how tragedy is being done and how this influence of tragedy comes out. Sorry, how tragedy comes out, and which leads a person to have a kind of a purgation, that when a reader reads or sees something like similar to them, he feel kind of a purgation, purification, and try to connect with those, and he comes out as a pure person. So this is all about. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Rinkal and presentation of today's topic is uh, my topic of today's presentation is the depth of author with the reference to practical criticism, my academic details. Introduction. Ivor Armstrong Richards was an English educator, literary critic, poet, and rhetorician. He contributed to the new criticism, a formalist movement in literary theory. His path-breaking works are The Meaning of Meaning, The Principles of Literary Criticism, and The Practical Criticism. What the practical criticism is. Richards published in 1929 practical criticism book named Practical Criticism, accounts of the history, the close reading of the primarily as the new critical practice that began with the practical criticism. And this was the new kind of reading practice that began with the starting of this book. The practical criticism is a form of reading or the close reading of the text. A practical criticism is known as the reading of the text also. Peter Berry argues in the beginning of theory that I. Richards pioneered the technique that made close study of literature possibly by isolating the text from its history and context. It disregards the social and historical context of the text. That as here mentioned by Peter Berry that to make a text isolated from its historical and social contexts, that how it was written and which were the reason caused to came this text out. It emphasizes the close reading of literary text, especially of poetry. The poem in itself, that nothing else matters but the poem in itself, that author and mindset of author while writing, or the social and political circumstances are also not that much important. What Richards was in fact doing was investigating the nature of introspection and using poetry as instrument to do so. Richardson has used the poetry as the instrument to make his experience something better than what processes were going on. The main objective to practical criticism of Richards was to encourage students to concentrate on the words on the page rather than being dependent on the preconceived or received belief about the text. That how students are learning to read, that sometimes it happens that there are already some contexts are given by some everyone else, that to read that text or poetry in this context, that the historical context of this poetry or prose is that, and another social and biographical contexts are there, and you will have to read only in this context. So here Richardson is telling that students should apply another way of reading. There are practical criticism Richards deals with are four kinds of meaning, that are sense, feeling, tone, and intention. That sense by all other kinds of senses, and feeling that is involved with emotions of how this poetry is written, and the tone, that how a poet is speaking, or to the readers, that what is the ultimate tone of this poetry and the intention of the poet. Two uses of language, scientific and emotive. That here a scientific use is not considered as truth or false, that something is wrong and something is right, as the scientific experiments are doing that to prove something right or wrong. Here it is not the scientific in the sense that to make how this poetry is making here, that the structure and the language of the poetry is here, and the emotive use of poetry. Figurative language is also there, that how the language of the meanings and languages of are used here. Death of the author. Death of the author is an essay by French literary critic and theorist Roland Barthes. It argues against the method of criticism that relies on the author's identity, political views, historical context, and religious or personal attributes. It's language who speaks. That he is telling that in the poetry, it's nothing else but the poet itself what is speaking. Instead of discovering a single theological meaning, readers of the text discover that the writing in reality. Here, the what is the a concept of death is to die. The poet is dead, not in this sense, but while after writing the particular poem, poet is no longer existing as the one who witnessed or who is telling that no, I have written this poet in this manner. As what happens that as we all know that we are aware of poetry of Parul Kakar, that Shavvahini Ganga. Here, what she is a Khatma who is Mashan, Khatma Kashte ki door. So, who is the reader? He is not aware of the corona situation and all that kind of things, and reading after many years, and he will tell this. It may be the situation that it might be that there were no such such things that to bury the dead body and all these kind of things. Divya vastra or tumha patthar ke. So these are the things that your vastras are divya. Something is more powerful. Clothes can't be that powerful. Okay, according to Bas, author is there to produce but not to explain. As here in the many kind of things that we have uh, also written some blogs on some poets that there are one poem bread, that is who friends shall bake it. It is about the title is that breads who friends shall bake it, who bakes the other bread like the other bread, the bread of justice be baked by the people, plentiful and wholesome and daily. This is the last stanza of this poem, that who shall break the bread, but here it is taken as the justice, not as the bread or the ordinary bread which can be baked by people. Author is merely a scripter, that as the whole essay is telling that author is merely a scripter, nothing else. After writing or scripting, he is no existing no longer. Practical criticism suggests that the text should be out of external elements or connections. That anything a text in practical criticism, text everything should be out rather than text. What the language itself is speaking. Avoidance of personal and historical contexts. Collective consciousness is necessary. Though we are speaking that only the poetry matters, but if the reader is not aware that what are the collective dots of this poem, then he cannot be able to understand the poem particularly. Practical criticism refers the idea of the death of the author. That is how the death of author of Barnes and new histories. Rolla Barnes, he is belonging to the new historicism, and here is the practical criticism and structuralism is there. That how this merely um, a next out after coming movement is coming to in existence here, that it is connecting. These are my works cited, and here what ChatGPT gave me the questions for topics for the presentation. It is particularly in the practical criticism, the reference of this criticism. What is practical criticism? Provide the overview, and then benefits and context is. These are the very ordinary questions that what practical criticism is and benefits, and the sides which are the, here it is written the authorial intention. This is what something relevant, that authorial intention with in practical criticism. Relation between practical criticism and the literary canon, including the approach can challenge traditional notions of the literary value and highlights overlook the marginalized text. The future of practical criticism. These are the responses I got. The birth of reader must be required by the death of author. That is what there in the Byrola Bas. Now questions, please.
Rinkal, as you mentioned about the death of the author, what is your perspective on death of the author theory, and why do we always take into account the author's intention when discussing any piece of art? So, what's your opinion about it?
Well, the in my opinion, death of author can't be separated from the text. That we always look at text, while the Pinjar of Amruta Pritam, it is particularly written when a partition was there by of India and Pakistan, and it had made a high impact on her mind, and then it is there in the work. But who is aware of this will know that it is about the partition, but who is not aware will say that, well, it's about the love and Hindu Muslim marriage and all that kind of things. But the main intention of Amrita was that. And if it comes with the death of author, that if somebody is not reading it as a partition novel, then he will say, well, Amrita didn't return it, though she is not no more here. But if she will be alive, and then she cannot claim that, well, you will have to read only in this context, that I have written this, but you should read in this. But it cannot be possible. Another one.
Rinkal, how does the death of the author related to the postmodern approaches to criticism?
Death of author relate to postmodern approaches to criticism. That the postmodern approaches that after the new criticism and new historicism came, then structuralism was there after the new criticism. That it was the middle part of new criticism and new historicism. That when it came, then there was a, what is the main core part of art? It was the art for art's sake. It was more relevant than this. And then theories are that it always are changing, rather than one theory is there to make one point, then another will come to make another. That is how it will work. That what is lacking here will be somewhere be adding by someone. That's all. Thank you.
Can I start?
Yes.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Today is the fourth day of our Sem 2 presentation. Today's my topic is an essential theory of the Rasa in Natyashastra and Indian cinema. Here is my personal information. Here is a table of content which I have presented in my presentation. First of all, introduction. In Rasaistic state, in Rasaistic stature has that Rasa is the cumulative result of Vibhav, stimulus, Anubhav, in involuntary action and Vyabhichari Bhava, voluntary reaction. For example, just when various condiments, sauce and herbs and other materials are mixed, a test is experienced. So it is with the different bhavs, emotions, the sthayi bhav, permanent emotion expressed inside becomes a rasa. Rasa, according to the Indian aesthetics, is the essence of performative art. It is not only felt by the actors or performers, but is also conveyed by them to the sensitive spectators who, after enjoying the various emotions expressed by the actors through their words, expression, and gesture, feel the pleasure. In India's Indian cinema, since its conception has relied on Natyashastra, sorry, I made a mistake in spelling of my Natyashastra, has relied on Natyashastra for its skeletal structure in terms of both its theme and structure. Its domestic theme that circle around love, overpowering grief, the stereotypical roles of the chivalric hero and pristine heroines, the larger than life backgrounds exudes makes up costume and innumerable music and dance sequence bear testimony to the aesthetic principle of this ancient text. Unlike Euro-American cinema based on Constantine Stanislavski's acting methods that emphasis on becoming the character, Indian cinema is completely based on conveying the emotion to spectator and experiencing the spectacle. Indian cinema and Rasa theory. Indian cinema is a completely based on experiencing each ras. Every aspect of the performance in cinema must be in synchronization, and the performance must display to perfection every rasa. In Indian cinema, the actors or the rasic performers portray their emotion even more than the actual characters they are playing, thus conveying well the emotion to the audience, which is the main aim of performative art. According to the Natyashastra, the role of the eight rasas is quite central to Indian cinema and its structure. It not only works to drive the plot and execute the behavior of the characters, its function is deeply ingrained in the basic storyline. The rasas have dominant role to play in creating the characters in a film. Shringar signifies beauty, love, faithfulness, or devotion, and is always a strong trait to the lead female character, the pure and innocent heroine. Bir Rasa, which highlights vigor, strength, courage, as well as pride, defines the proud chivalric hero. Bollywood films is highly dependent on all the nine races. They are significant in numbers of ways. The rasa help create a story, stereotypical roles and exaggerated facial expression and mannerism. Quite regularly, will the handsome and courageous hero adopt arms when crossed, show resolute indifference when confronted with lesser characters such as the cunning mother-in-law, complete with complaints, shrill tone and wailing, the fluttering eyelashes of the innocent maiden are contrived and just as important a part of Shringar Rasa. Natya Shastra believes that the conveyance of the emotion is important and hence gives value to the spectacle. According to Natya Shastra, enactment process has a four step. First is the experience of the poet, then the creation of the text, reconstruction of the experience of the poet. The actor then tries to enact the effect of the experience on the poet. In the last stage, the audience recreates the experience that the actor portrays, but Stanislavski believes that the actor must not transpose his understanding and interpretation of the character to his performance, for there is always a possibility that the depiction of emotion might change from its original form and conception. Stanislavski believes that an actor should aim at becoming a living, breathing embodiment of the character than just trying to convey an emotion. For a character is a more important than the actor in a bigger picture of the story. Performances inspired and influenced by Stanislavski as a methods as stated, rely on the development of character through the actor's embodiment of the character and allowing the emotion created by the story flow inside out. In Indian cinema, which is a strictly rasic in nature, opens up the possibility of an actor playing a wider range of roles of any age of nature. In Kuli movie, a movie by Raj and Desai in 1983, Amitabh Bachchan, then nearly 40, plays the role of a 20-year-old porter because the emphasis here is not the actor embodying perfectly the character but on right and perfect conveyance of emotion. Indian cinema chiefly creates rasic performance. Hogan wrote the most common primary rasas in Indian cinema are the romantic and sorrowful or pathetic. Pathetic, he believes that the most elemental and essential human emotion are love and sorrow, and hence the most displaced rasa are the karuna ras and shringar rasa, which makes Indian cinema circle around melodrama and romance. Even though Indian cinema emphasizes or Shringar and Karuna Rasa, it rarely has a movies that display just one core emotion. It also compasses Hasya Ras and Adbhuta Ras alongside, aiding the primary rasa. Not only melodramatic but didactic filmmakers are also largely dependent upon the rasa. Hogan has a written didactic works in India are no less inclined to use rasa aesthetics than are the works of simple entertainment. Indeed, didactic works rely overtly on the emphatic characters of rasa, the creation, sustaining, and enhancement of the emphatic feeling is almost invariably central to the works that set out to cultivate a commitment to social ethics on the part of a reader or viewer. The Rasa theory emphasizes solely on conveying an emotion to the audience and hence uses Karunaras as the most prevalent rasa in order to arouse empathy. Indian cinema for decades used more characters colored in a broad stroke who exhibit strong emotions because, according to the Natyashastra formula, a perfect rasic performance requires a perfect conveyance of emotion rather than a perfection in characterization. The film Rang De Basanti in 2006 is probably the best example that depicts a strong reliance on the Rasa theory. Conclusion. It can be concluded by saying the Indian cinema is a completely based on performance aesthetics. The depiction of rasa and challenging it to the audience is a quintessential aspect of Indian theatre and cinema. Rasa theory is the very essence of what makes Bollywood unique and eternal, and it constitutes but the very structure and backbone of Indian cinema. Here is my work citation. Thank you.
Riddhi, can we say that Indian cinema places a greater emphasis on melodramatic representation of emotions rather than classical rasas, which is described by Bharata?
Yes, most of Indian cinema director or writer is written more written written more portrait to rasa in all characters in Indian cinema.
Riddhi, what is the role of emotion in Natyashastra and in Indian cinema? How has that changed over time?
The most important role of emotion in Natyashastra in Indian cinema, because cinema is overall based on emotion, on characters and performers. It is changed over time. For filmmakers use emotion for connected to audience.
Good afternoon to everyone. Today's my topic of presentation is comparison of Frye and Jung and their ideas of archetypal literature. This is the points that I have discussed in my further slides. Archetypal criticism, this term is given by North of Frye. He was a Canadian literary critic and literary theorist, considered one of the most influential of the 20th century. He developed the concept of archetypal criticism. The goal of archetypal criticism is to uncover the deeper meaning and theme of a literary work by examining the archetypes and that appear in it. Jordan says, I quote, the basic contention of archetypal criticism is that literary expression is an unconscious product of the collective experience of the entire species. As such, literature is therefore integrally related with man's cultural past. Uh, those archetypal this term archetypal criticism says that all person and of world are universal feelings and universal symbols and elements are universal. If we are in India using this type of symbols, that type of symbols also using in another country is the same way that as we are using. Archetypal criticism has been applied to a wide range of works, including myths, folk talks, religious texts, as well as modern novels, poems, and films. Carl Jung, he was psychologist, and also he gave the term of archetypal. Jung was originally a follower of Sigmund Freud, and he was influenced by Sigmund Freud. A study of the depth psychology. It's a book written by Carl Jung, and in this book he discussed about this type of archetypals. The union archetypes. Archetypes are universal, inborn models of people, behaviors, and personalities that play a role in influencing human behavior. Swiss psychologist Jung says Jung's theory suggests that these archetypes were archaic forms of intent human knowledge passed down from the ancients. According to Carl Jung's psychology, he says we are got everything in our unconscious mind, and as it's saved in our mind and in a passive manner. Contents within this lowest level of the unconscious are what Jung called the archetypes. The collective unconscious man is linked not only with the past of the human species but with the long stretch of organic evolution, a deduction borne out by the fact that contains within the present human brain and their distinct brains. As in this context, we can say universal pattern of human psyche, and when author and readers connected with the common psyche of this universal psyche. We can see in animal world, the animal, those who have furry animals, baby are also afraid from fire. So it is, we can say it is comes in their DNA, and they are behave according to like that. Some people have some type of trauma, they afraid from water and other kind of things, that is also considering here. All the most powerful ideas in history go back to the archetypes. Here he stands for Carl Jung. He believed that there was no limit to the number that may exist. The existence of these archetypes, in this he want to say the archetypes figure are innumerable. In world, so many archetypal figures are exist. Here are some example of this type of figures: ruler, creator, sage, innocent, explorer, rebel, hero, and caregiver. In literature and in movie and other entertainment sources, we can see uh, king is rule over the kingdom, and a old person is always old man or women always give some type of good they teach about good deeds and some type of ideas that they have given because of their idea. Sage is always taken in a positive manner in every book and literature. Hero is also a fighter who, and we can say in a traditional manner, there is a hero in evil element. Always the hero fights against the evil, and at the last of the work, evil defeat by hero. But we can say in a post-modern era, they try to break this type of element in the postmodern era. We can, in the context of waiting for Godot, we can say in waiting for Godot in both act, in the starting of the act, moon rise and at the in again in the new day moon also rise and leaves on tree. That is also example, but they break this type of rule. But this postmodern literature, it's a small part, but we are seeing in popular literature another thing. We have a particular narrative sign with perfect starting and a perfect ending, and in cinema, in other entertainment and movie, novel, short stories, we are follow this type of format in narrative style, perfect starting and ending. But the postmodern and modern, those who are break this element. Collective unconsciousness. The collective unconsciousness is also Carl Jung's theory's major part, and the collective unconscious is a layer of the unconscious mind that is shared by all humans and composed of universal symbols and archetypes that have been inherited from our ancestors. People have mind. Mind is divided in conscious mind and unconscious mind. If I am not wrong, but so the conscious mind is 10% of our mind, and unconscious mind is 90% of our mind. So we are using 10%, and 90% is remaining. The collective unconscious is best understood as the sum of the behavior pattern we inherited with our DNA. In this, we have all human beings have, according to Carl Jung, unconscious memory that we have got for our father, forefather, and forefather of our forefather. And Carl Jung's theory also believes in rebirth. So, in some religion, there is no idea of rebirth, and in some religion, there is an idea of rebirth. Those who are not believing in rebirth, for them, it is not easy to understand this theory, and they may criticize this theory. And in those religion, theory of rebirth is there. For them, it is easy to connect and easy to understand. Each culture fashion minor myths to help the society cohere to achieve its goals. Our is no different. Many well informed persons had to this that they share any qualities with so-called primitives or even literature people. They like the illusion that their mind are quite differently constructed, that they function on a high level. In this context, we can see when we are reading our regional literature or even reading another region's literature, if we are don't know about this region's things, their culture, but somehow we are able to connect ourselves to this type of region, and it may be because of this unconscious collective memory that we all have. And because of this type of element, literature is popular. Some person written a poetry upon any theme, but someone is connect with themselves with other perspective, because we all have this unconscious collectiveness. This is the difference between Carl Jung's theory and Northrop Frye's archetypal criticism. Northrop Frye gives archetypal criticism, and Carl Jung gives the archetypes. On focus, according in Jung's theory, that is focus is psychology, because he was ultimately a psychologist, and Northrop Frye's archetypal criticism, the literary criticism is the in focus, origin, collective unconsciousness, and in Frye's literature and culture, as we seen in slides, collective unconsciousness, like we all have some type of collective unconsciousness. In Northrop Frye tries to connect some symbol, some same type of that images in his criticism. Universal, this both are universally cultured and according to time. Examples, according to Carl Jung's theory, hero, mother, trickster, and shadows are as a example, and in Frye's comedy, romance, tragedy, and satire, influence. Uh, Carl Jung's theory put influence on psychology and anthropology, and Northrop Frye's archetypal criticism influence on literary studies and cultural studies, and relevance. This Jung's theory is relevant, influential in various fields, and Frye's theory is influenced on literary studies. These are the basic difference of this archetypal criticism and archetypes. But when we are studying it, it seems they both are part of each other. When we are studying archetypal criticism of Northrop Frye, at that time the golden boat, written by James Fraser, it's a very important and significant book, and in this book he gives he gives the elements of ritual and myths. So when we are studying this archetypal criticism, those elements are also considered as the study of this topic. We can see in Hinduism there is a goddess of money, those we called Lakshmi Mata, and the same figure is also available in Chinese concept. And also we can say the Greek mythology and Indian mythology somehow very similar. Some god and goddesses are also available there and also available here. Their names and our other things are different, but we can compare the both. So for studying this perspective, we need to refer James George Fraser's The Golden Boat. It's an example upon this theory. The desire to write comes most characteristically from an impulse to identify the human mind and the world outside it. It's an example of Robert Burns' poem, My Love's Like a Red, Red Rose. Here we can see the red rose is universally symbolized as a symbol for love. The red colored rose is in world, it's everywhere, as a symbol and as a stands for a love. The other is a bold and elaborative denial that means from literature goes primarily out change social conditions. Some are not believing that this type of influence are happening, but a writer is what is written. It is imitating whatever he is read. So sometime we can say those we are thinking, we say it's our creation, but in world some any of people is already done these things and live this world. So we cannot say this is our creation and our idea. Uh, Here is a example of a regional language from Gujarati. The Gram Mata is a Khand Kavya written by Kalapi. Some people pronounce it's Gramya Mata, but originally it's Gram Mata. And I have took some lines from it. The first written is Shardul Vikridit. It's a rhyme that is it. This further four line is written in this rhyme and it's called Chand. ઉગે છે સુરખી ભરી રવિ મૃદુ હેમંતનો પૂર્વમાં. If we see in the seasonal grid, in European context, we can see there is a summer is for love, but in India we don't have this type of concept for summer because we have a very harsh summer in India, but in European country they have a very harsh winter in their country, so that's why they celebrate summer as a season of love. And we Indians are celebrating in monsoon and in winter. તો this first line ઉગે છે સુરખી ભરી રવિ મૃદુ હેમંતનો પૂર્વમાં. So hemant is a one rutu and it's so it's ultimately a talk about winter and morning, winter's morning. પૂરું છે નભ સ્વચ્છ સ્વચ્છ દિસતી એકે નથી વાદળી. As we have seen in winter the sky is very clear and this and in winter according to Indian monsoon and Indian seasonal grid we can say the reap of crop is happening in winter. So those who are farmer they are very happy because they have reaped their crops and so they are very happy. If I say in brief, this another four line is written in Mandakranta rhyme. કાપી કાપી ફરી અરે કાતળી શેરડીની એકે બિંદુ પણ રસ્તણું કેમ હવા પડે ના. In the king was change their clothes and come into the village to show what people are doing in his state. So people those people are from farming they are very happy because of this season and seasonal crop. So he was one old lady give a sugar cans juice to drink him, and when he was drinking it he was thinking my people are very my people has a very good crop, so I should increase the tax. So when the old lady cuts another part of sugar cane, now there is no juice comes from sugar cane. So this line is અરે કાતળી શેરડીની કેમ હવા પડે ના. That means now there is no juice in second cut of sugar cane. So this person who is king, now he was thinking what's happened, and at that time old lady said રસહીન ધરા થઈ છે દયાહીન થયો નૃપ, નહીં તો ના બને આવું બોલી માતા ફરી રડી. So she says she don't know he was a king, but she don't know, and at that time she says our king has a bad thing upon us, so that's why it happened. So this type of archetypal criticism also available in if you are think bad, if you are doing bad, so the things those who are happening this also are bad. In Sanskrita there is a one line yatha raja tatha praja. Nowadays it's not happening in the same way, but it's a one type of archetype. I have forget to in-text citation here, so it's available in my citation it's but forget to in-text citation. Conclusion. Frye and Jung theories offer valuable insight into the role of archetypes in literature and culture. By analyzing archetypal pattern and symbols, we can gain deeper understanding and universal idea to enhance our knowledge in a very deeper meaning. This is my work cited here. When I give prompt to chat GPT comparison of Frye and Jung and their idea of archetypal literature, give points for presentation. At that time, this AI generated answer is looks like that: introduction, definition of archetypes in literature, relationship to psychology, cultural significance, criticism and limitation, and conclusion. Thank you. Now I'm open for question and answer session.
Rajeshvariba, how do archetypes relate to human psychology and behavior?
Okay. How do archetypes relate to human psychology and behavior? The archetypes is took from human psychology and behavior. So it's already relate to the human psychology and its behavior, because we have archetypes from this context. Thank you.
Rajeshwari, do archetypes pass down through DNA from generation to generation in both animals and humans? And which are the other causes to pass down it? Are there any other reasons than DNA passing by DNA only?
I don't think other reason is there or not, but those questions that you have write, my answer in this context. Do archetypal so, uh, in this uh, in this absolutely true, the archetypal pass from through DNA from generation to generation. Those who are believe in rebirth, for that this theory is allowed to think upon it. But those who are not believing in the rebirth, for that they are not allowing this. But according to Hinduism is believing in rebirth, so we have this type of context in Hinduism. Christianity is not believing in rebirth, so maybe though they are not believing in this. Okay, thank you.
So, hello everyone, myself Pooja Bhuva on this fourth day of SEM 2 presentation from the paper number 109, Literary Theory and Criticism and Indian Aesthetics. I choose the topic Rasa Theory and the emotions that literature can evoke through Rasa Theory in ourselves from literature and from our life too. So, let's see. For here are my personal information. First, I choose slide about a response that ChatGPT on the topics give on our presentation. I give every single topic on for to ChatGPT to create a topic which seem interesting. Now let's see what is rasa theory. In Indian aesthetics, a rasa literally means a nectar, essence, or taste. Desire for taste, be sensible to feel, to love. Every feelings that we feel, it calls a rasa theory in literature. But in real meaning, rasa means something we drink or something we flavor. Now, rasa in Indian context of aesthetic flavor, an essential element of any work of visual, literary, or performing art that can only be suggested, not described. Rasa theory was introduced by Bharat Muni in Natyashastra, which includes 8 rasa, and the ninth one developed by Abhinav Gupta. In short, rasa is a Sanskrit term that refers to the essence, flavor, or taste of an experience. In Indian aesthetics, a rasa theory describes the emotional response evoked in the audience or reader when they engage with the work of art, particularly in poetry and drama. We normally see that we are fond of watching movies and so many series and dramas. When we complete that series, a particular drama or movie, we find that we were in different world, and after completing the series or particular movie, we when we come in real life, we are not able to connect with real life very easily because we are connected with those feelings. The Natya Shastra covers various aspects of performing arts, including the origin of theatre, types of stages, various form of dance, music, instruments, acting, costumes, makeup, and stagecraft. It also outlines the emotions, moods, and sentiments that should be expressed through the performing arts. It simply means that rasa theory or rasa is something that we cannot describe. It is written here as is the same. We cannot describe. We can only feel that. Now, different meanings of rasa theory by so many sages. According to Bhatlulat, rasa does not exist; it is produced. Now, according to Sri Sankuka, there is no ras. Ras is not even produced; only presumption, perception occurs. According to Bhat Nayak, now ras is not produced, not inferred, failed, and if a performer feels this, the audience feels is too. Means when a performer feels it, only audience can feel it then. According to now Abhinav Gupta, whose point is very reliable on this rasa theory, and the ninth rasa given by him. Interest occurs when the performer, audience, creator, and all anticipate and exult in the value generated. Means everyone should be feel that ras, and after that the audience can feel it. Now, 8 rasas. I give a little introduction of these 8 rasas. Now, first one is Shunga rasa. This rasa is associate with the emotion of love, attraction, and desire, which we normally see, and it is very normal when something when we see something, we feel connected with that. Like if we fond of nature, when we see a beautiful flower color of red, and when we smell it, it smells very incredible, called rose. So when we say rose, we automatically imagine that a rose is a red, and we feel that it is a love symbol. Now, hasya rasa. This rasa is associated with the emotion of joy, laughter, and humor. It expressed through themes of comedy, satire, and parody. Of course, Hasya rasa is a comic ras, but with a little satire with our friends and with family members, we can also feel humor in it, and we can laugh with that. So it associate with this too. Now, Karun rasa. This rasa is associated with the emotion of sadness, grief, and compassion. This rasa is a very normal and very effective rasa in everyone. Like if we see something, if we are so sentimental a person, and if we see something dying in TV or movie, or we are crying with that too. Rodra Rasa, angry Rasa. This Rasa is associated with the emotion of anger, aggression, and violence. Let's see real example of this Rodra Rasa. When we are doing our presentation, and we are not and we are when we are trying to complete the presentation, and someone asks us to complete their work, and ask us that what their topic and what in it is. There we feel a little anger that હજી તો મેં નથી કરી તું આવી ગઈ કહેવા માટે, like we feel that kind of Rodra Rasa. Now the Veer Rasa. This Rasa is associated with the emotion of heroism, bravery, and courage. Let's see in the same context about presentation. When we complete a presentation and sir gave us marks, and if someone got 100 out of 100, the bravery we feel is very incredible. Now Bhayanak Rasa. This Rasa, I like to tell this Rasa with an example of milk. When mom tells us to watch on milk and that flows off, the fear we feel is very dangerous. Now Bibhats Rasa, disgustful or loathsome Rasa. This rasa is associated with the emotion of disgust, revolution, and awareness. Let's see where we feel disgust. If we person are fearful with the insects and bugs like that, and when we see cockroach, it's a very normal and very famous bibhatsaras, that if a girl, it's a archetypal thing too, like if girls see cockroach, it jumps and feel disgust with it. Some disgust with rats also, and some earthworm also. We cannot handle that creature with our eyes, and we feel disgust with it. Now Adbhut Rasa, wonder or marvelous Rasa. This Rasa is associated with the emotion of wonder, and amazement. It is expressed through the themes of supernatural element, mystery, and the unknown. Adbhut Rasa, we can feel, movie watcher who loves to watch movie can feel this Adbhut Rasa when they complete a movie Avengers Endgame, and the bookworm who loves to read books, they can feel Adbhut Rasa with mysterious and supernatural element. A very famous book, Harry Potter. Now, ninth rasa, which is described by Abhinav Gupta, calls Shant Rasa. Abhinav Gupta, a medieval Indian philosopher, aesthete, and scholar of Kashmir Saivism tradition, expanded upon the classical Indian rasa theory and added a ninth rasa to the existent eighth rasa. Of course, he added this ninth rasa in this eighth rasa, but what he do is he combined all the eight rasa and give a common rasa in it, which everyone agree with it. So this ninth rasa is called Shant Rasa, also known as peaceful rasa and tranquil rasa. Shant Rasa is associated with the emotion of peace, serenity, and tranquility. It is expressed through themes of meditation, spirituality, and enlightenment. So it is also has a somewhere connection with peace, which lays in our mind. All the rasa has a feelings called feelings, and that all feelings lays in our mind. We can only feel it. We are not sometimes able to express it. This Shant Rasa. After completing this 5 presentation, we also imagine when we are going to complete this 5 presentation, and we feel relaxed, and we go out for somewhere. Just thinking of that, we feel peace in our mind. So that ninth rasa I describe in that way. Now examples of rasa. Of course, I gave so many example which differentiate ninth rasa. And first, before this, I like to tell 9 ras, which is described in music by Lata Mangeshkar. She was very famous. Very famous singer, which sings in every 9 rasa. So I have a little list of that song. Now Hashya Rasa, the song like मैं क्या करूँ राम मुझे बुढ़ा मिल गया. Song then Karun Rasa, तुझसे नाराज नहीं जिंदगी, that we all heard somewhere. शांत रसा इस एक प्यार का नगमा है, और सायोनारा from a movie Love in Tokyo. रौद्र रसा. Rodra is some songs normally can relate with a bhakti song or desh bhakti song, like Mera Gaon Mera Desh, or other songs too. Veer Rasa, आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है. Shringar Rasa, Piya to se nena lage re, and the very famous song by Rekha, which something related to eyes, I forget. बीभत्स रसा दुश्मन न करे दोस्त ने वो काम किया रे. We feel disgust after listening that song, and we also can relate that, and we tell in satire with our every friends. भयानक रसा कहीं दीप जले कहीं दिल. This song is very old, and after listening this song we feel a little horror by it. So these are some rasa which is described in music or songs by sing by Lata Mangeshkar. Now examples of rasa, I choose these three rasa which has mix emotions with it, not single but mix emotions with it, and has a transformation emotions with transformative emotions too. Now first one, last line of the novel from the movie For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. We after see this pic, we can see that when this character is totally defected or injured by this attack, but when we think about his beloved, he feel energetic. Of course he think about his mission and everything, but he is not able to wake his gun to attack on the opposite side. But when he think about his love life, he feel energetic, and he attack on them. Of course maybe he died. It is not really described in the end of the novel, but here is a change of Russia with love. The second one, scene of novel from the movie Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. After see this picture, we see that what is going to happen next. These three children in the movie died suicide by his big brother, and the feeling after listening that these two couple are not married and having three children, it is not accepted by society at that time in the movie, which also connected with somewhere is discussed, and it is not acceptable. Now the third one, death scene from the play Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. There is no transformation of emotion, but there is a mix of emotion which can be mixed in audience and the performer. When performers are feeling sad about the death of each other love, but somewhere the audience can feel relaxed. Why? Because in the end of the movie, hero or heroine are not alone now, they both died, so they can live in peace in afterworld. It is imagination of audience, but with this imagination and fake scenario, we feel relaxed with the sadness too. So I conclude my presentation here, my work citation. Thank you.
Pooja, in what ways might the Rust theory help us to improve our own emotional intelligence?
Our own emotional intelligence. Emotions are something which we cannot able that easily. It is very known because it is very simple in simple known as mood swings. We are not able to control our moods, which is feelings. So to control emotions or emotional intelligence, we need so many improvements, and sometimes we can lose some of our emotions like love and pity for someone, and for connection with someone, we can lose that too. So there are of course there are advantages and disadvantages too for our improve our own emotional intelligence. Of course we can improve by so many it is not something we can control or improve directly, but with the experience of our life and with the time is the healing machine, it is known. So to improve our emotions, we have to give some time to ourselves, and give to time to our surroundings. Thank you.
Pooja, how is Rasa theory being applied in different fields such as literature, music, dance, and theater?
How Rasa theory been applied in different fields such as literature, music, dance, and theater. So Rasa theory, in Rasa theory, there are feelings from so many human, but we can feel that too. So the person came and gave all the feelings a particular name. But before that, we also can see that. We have now cinema and literature too, but before that, we all feel emotions and every single rasas with the bhavai and all the natak which we see in our village. So in field literature with I say books or something which is written, we after reading that, and if we are in that book or in work, we can feel so many emotions. In music, it is very simply after listening some music, we know that this is our music. It is also a psychological thing that if we feel sad, we never gonna listen sad music. We are gonna listen some cheerful music, so our emotions can changeable. So in that way music work. Now dance very beautiful. So many traditional kathakali, bharatnatyam are known as feelings, the nine rishas. And theater means feelings which without any words, say mono acting, which is play on theater. Only by watching their expression we can feel that emotion, that how what they are talking about and what they want to say. Thank you.
Hello everyone. In today's presentation, I am going to discuss about understanding of Richard's four kind of meaning and two kinds of metaphors. These are my personal details. Uh, these are the points which I am going to I will discuss. I.A. Richards, four kind of meaning, two kinds of metaphors, and conclusion. So first, look at the brief introduction on I.A. Richards. Ivor Armstrong Richards was born in 1893. He was an English educator, literary critic, and poet. His work contributed to the foundation of the new criticism and a formalist movement in literary theory, which emphasized the close reading of literary text, especially in a poetry. Richard's contribution to the establishment of the literary mythology of the new criticism are presented in the books The Meaning of Meaning, a study of the influence of language upon truth, and of the Science of Symbolism by C.K. Ogden. And I.A. Richards' Principles of Literary Criticism, Practice Criticism, and the Philosophy of Rhetoric. He is considered as one of the pioneer of the new criticism. He developed close textual verbal study and analysis of work of art. Of four kinds of meaning. In a literary criticism, Richards described the four kinds of meaning. According to I.A. Richards, words carry four kind of meaning. Language is made for words and hence a study of words. First one is a sense, second is tone, third one is a feeling, and fourth one is a intention. Sense is a what I said or the item referred to by a writer. Feeling is referred to emotion, emotional attitude, desire, pleasure, or displeasure, and the rest. Tone is the writer's attitude to his readers or audience, and intention is the writer's aim, which may be conscious or unconscious. It refers to the effect that he tries to produce. This purpose modifies the expressions. So this is the four kind of meaning in a one example of poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, written by Robert Frost. I try to compare this four kind of meaning. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening is a poem by Robert Frost, written in 1922 and published in 2023. There is a mistake. The poem is about the poets going to forest, getting tempted to stay there, and finally realize that he has many works to be done by him, and so he cannot stop in the forest. In this poem, the tone is quiet and reflective. The speaker is stopping in the woods on a snowy evening and taking a time to discuss the details of the scene ahead. So the tone of this poem is quiet and reflective. The feeling of the poem is peace and tranquility. The speaker is enjoying the beauty of the snowy woods and the quiet of the evening. Poet used this line for a feeling lovely, dark, and deep woods. Sense. The sense of the poem is that there are a moment of beauty and peace in life that we should stop and appreciate. For Frost uses symbolism to convey this sense, such as when he says the woods are lovely, dark, and deep. Intention of the poem. We all are sometimes tempted by the beauty of nature to stop there for a long time, but the work which to be done by us remain as our duty, and we don't stop for a long time. Where that beautiful place is, this truth of life is conveyed by the poet through the present poem in stopping by woods in snowy evening. And another is importance of continuing on with lives and the journey of the life. So stopping by woods is a very give this give this discussion of four kinds of meaning. Now two kinds of metaphors. Uh, Two kinds of metaphors Richards described in a literary criticism. Richards says metaphor is a semi-surreptitious method by which a greater variety of elements can be brought into the fabric of the experience. The metaphorical meaning arises from the inner relation of sense, tone, feeling, and intention. Richards give two parts of a metaphor. One is tenor, and second one is a vehicle. Tenor can be equated with the subject. Subject means the person, place, or thing. And vehicle is a subsidiary subject. What is representing the tenor? One example from a play, As You Like It, written by William Shakespeare, or in there, one monologue. All the words worlds attach, and all the man and woman merely players. In this line, the world is a tenor, and a stage is a vehicle, and a man and woman is a secondary tenor. Player is the secondary vehicle. So this metaphor suggests that life is like a play with the people playing different roles and performing for an audience. So this is a example of two kinds of metaphors. Uh, uh, Example of two kinds of metaphor by Chat GPT. Uh, it gives me a very similar answer to examples of two kinds of metaphors.
Can you read it? An example, can you read it?
Screenshot is very
Then you should copy paste the content. The screenshot is not clear.
conclusion. Richard's theory of metaphors and four types of meaning in language describe the importance of language in shaping our vision and understanding of literature. Here is my work citation. Thank you. Now you can ask the question.
Payal, according to you, how can feeling affect the intention of the poet?
According to me, the feeling affect the intention of the poet. Uh, the feeling of writer, we can what poet think in his or her mind, we can apply with in his or her poem. So feeling affect the intention of the poet.
So according to Payal, you describe in your PPT four kinds of meaning. So what do you think about that four kind of meaning? What is meaning described in that way that you present in your presentation?
According to me, four kinds of meaning in the literary criticism of Richard's in literary criticism in this text. He described the four kind of meaning, and these four kinds of meaning give a poetry or any work uh, 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 deeply close reading and deeply close reading and history of uh, any described in the work or any poem. So this is thank you.
So can I start? Hello everyone, my name is Dabhi Nirali and today I am going to present on Auchitya. This is my personal introduction. This is the table of content. This is the 8 schools of Indian poetics. First one is Ras, second Alankar, third Riddhi, fourth Gun, fifth one is Dhwani, sixth Vakrokti, seven Anuman, and eighth one is Auchitya. Uh, this is the information of author, poet, proponent of Auchitya. Shemendra was born into an old cultured and affluent family. He is one of the best Sanskrit poet of the 11th century. He studied literature under the foremost teacher of his time, the celebrated Shaiva philosopher and literary exponent Abhinav Gupta. Abhinav Gupta, he was the Shemendra is the was the student of Abhinav Gupta. Shemendra received his education from the famous scholar and teacher like Gangaka, Abhinav Gupta, and Somapada. He studied and wrote about both Vaishnavism and Buddhism. Some of the famous works of Shemendra, Desh Updesh, Narmala, Loka Prakash, and last one is Samay Metrika. Uh, he spotted the he shortened the famous work Mahabharata of 1 lakh shlokas under the title of Mahabharat Manjari in 10,000 in 10 hundreds 60 15 5 shlokas only. What is Auchitya? Auchitya is a Hindi word taken from Sanskrit. It is its meaning means justification, propriety, propriety, and decency. The word Auchitya also contains the Hindi word Uchit, which is English meaning appropriate. Auchitya Vichar Charcha is the most important of the 4 treatises devoted to literary critiques by Kshemendra. The order 3 being the Kavi Kandha Bharana, the Kavi Karnika, and the Suvreta Tilaka. As Shemendra himself says in his work, it was written in the time of the king Anant Raja. Like all the poets, Shemendra is also said that Auchitya is the soul of the poem. Bhama and Dandi each have their own opinion on Auchitya. Kuntaka also speak on Auchitya as the basic of Vakrata. Auchitya and Rasa. The indispensability of Auchitya for proper evocation of Ras is emphatically stated as follows. This is the shlok from the Dvanyalok. Auchitya is reckoned as an intrinsic element in Ras. Abhinav Gupta criticized those critics who put Auchitya as more essential to poetry than Ras even. He further defined Auchitya as a relationship and that to which things may or should be in that relation must be first grasped. Also, according to Abhinav Gupta, Auchitya is understandable without something else to which things are uchit. is in other word appropriate. So he says Auchitya necessarily relates to Ras and Ras alone. This line from Lokana. Auchitya refers to ideally appropriate relationship between the written words in the poetic organism. Ras is the soul and Auchitya the life. Auchitya is the life of Ras. In Insolde, a poem says Shamendra. The classification of Auchitya. Shemendra in his masterpiece speak of a 28 kind of placement for literary composition which leads to Auchitya. These are the 28 eight placement which are used by Shemendra. Poems and Auchitya. Famous poetic work on Auchitya. Auchitya Vichar Charcha, Kavi Kandha Bharana. And third one is Suvrita Tilakam. One of the few people who analyze Western poetry in terms of Indian concept like Ras, Dhvani, Auchitya, and Vakrokti. In this regard, one can have a look at his essay in Indian literary theories, a real appearism. There are many poems that use Auchitya in their language, themes, structure, and cultural traditions. I give the example of Bhagavad Gita. This ancient Hindu scripture is considered one of the greatest work of spiritual poetry. It uses Auchitya in its language, themes, and cultural traditions to convey the principles of dharma, karma, and yoga, and to guide individual on the path of righteousness and spiritual enlightenment. According to Kshemendra, the adaptation of part of the words to each other and to whole or the other words, a certain poetic harmony or fitness of things. This is the shlok from Kshemendra's Auchitya Vichar Charcha. उचित प्राहुराचार्य सदृशं किला यस्य यत उचितस्य हि यो भवसदोस्तितां प्रचक्षते. Means what is suited to a certain things is called proper or appropriate, and therefore abstract idea is called propriety or appropriateness. This is the screenshot from ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to can we connect any movie or novel or poem with Auchitya. It gave me the for example the movie Lagan, and the second one is God of Small Thing. And third one is the poem Westland, and fourth one is a movie Black Panther. I ask another question to Chat GPT. Comparison of Auchitya with modern aesthetic. It give me the response like this, and I also ask to give me the example of Auchitya with modern aesthetic. It give me the example of Taj Mahal and Satyajit Ray's films. This is my work citation.
Nirali. So, as you compare Rasa and Auchitya in your presentation, so according to you, what is more important in poem? What is applicable more in poem, Auchitya or Rasa?
According to me, Auchitya is the part of in the poem, and Rasa is also the emotion of poem. When we read the poem, the Auchitya is give the structure of poem, and the Rasa is the give the emotion how we feel the emotion by the rest.
Nirali, according to you, how does the concept of Auchitya impact the overall effectiveness of literary work?
Auchitya's concept in the poem, Auchitya is a part of in poem which also used by Shemendra, and also many poets who also write the concept Auchitya in his poems. Uh, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mansi. Today I will present a literary example of archetypal criticism. Here is my personal information. Mm, Today I will discuss about some points like introduction about author, meaning of archetype criticism, to measure categories for mythos, example in literature, example from Hindi cinema, and archetype in Macbeth. First, I try to introduce introduction. In a literary criticism, the term archetype denotes recurrent narratives, designs, patterns or of action, character types, theme, and images which are identifiable in a wide variety of work of literature, as well as in myths, dreams, and even social rituals. The major work of Frye to deal with archetype is antimony of criticism, but his essay, The Archetypes of Literature, is a precurrence of the book. uh, who is a north of Frye. He was born in 14 July 1912, died in 23 July 1991. Subdiscipline. He was a literary criticism and a literary theories. He was a Canadian intellectual and a literary critic who wrote much on Canadian literature and culture.
and become best known as one of the most important literary theory of the 20th century. Frye was educated at the University of Toronto, where he studies philosophy and then theory. Frye became a chairman of the English department there in 1952 and served as a principal and a chancellor of the college. Meaning of archetype. The word archetype arises from two Greek words. Arch means beginning, and types means imprint. Carl Jung defined four main archetypes: the person, the shadow, the anima or animus, and the self. Those are a result of a collective shared uncertain memories that may persist in art, literature, and religion, but are not obvious to the eyes. Archetypes have universal meanings across culture and may show up in a dream, literature, or a religion. Jung believes symbols from different cultures are often very similar because they have emerged from archetypes shared by the whole human race, which are part of our collective consciousness, unconscious. Uh, Archetypes fall into two major categories like a character and symbols. Character, the hero, who play a main role in a novel or any kind of literature, like Hamlet, Macbeth. It's the outcast, someone uh, who out of society like a Ram, Lakshman, Sita, Pandavas. It's the scapegoats. Someone who get a blame from for everything happen, like a snowfall from Animal Farm, written by George Orwell. The star-crossed lover, like a Juliet, Romeo and Juliet, written by Hamlet. The shrew and the journey. Symbols like a garden. Garden uh, represent a memories, yeah, memories or a happiness. Tree is represent a calmness. Desert is a represent of fear or something like that. Spring, summer, fall, and winter. uh, North of Frye represent fourth type of a mythos of archetype, like a summer. North of Frye belongs to Canada, so in a Canadian culture, summer is like belongs to a romance and a comedy. Autumn belongs to a tragedy. Winter is a irony or a satire, and spring belongs to a romance. uh, Archetypal example in a literature, a mentor, the rise and experience figure who guide and teach the hero, like a Harry Potter series. The hero, the courageous and virtuous character who embark on a quest or journey to overcome challenges and achieve a goal, like the Hunger Game, Sujana Collins. Uh, the outcast, some character who is isolated or rejected from society, often due to their differences or unconformity, like a Frankenstein monster in the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Here I put some example from Hindi cinema, like love. Love is a common archetype in our Hindi cinema. Uh, Here I put some example of movies like जब वी मेट, दिल वाले दुल्हनिया ले जाएंगे और कुछ कुछ होता है.
a death. Uh, in our Hindi cinema, it is a very common. It is a very common to see a end of the movie, hero or heroine, other yeah, villain died. Uh, Here I put some example like Heather, Mughal e Azam, Rang De Basanti, or Border, Sacrifice. Uh, in our Hindi cinema, we are see most of Indian mother or mother sacrifice for build for nurturing his child. Here I put some example like a Mother India, Lagan, Gaddar Ek Prem Katha, or Dil Se. In a monsoon uh, belong related to a romance in our Hindi cinema. Rain is a symbol of romance. Here I put some songs related to a monsoon like a tip tip barsa pani, sawan aaya hai. uh, Garden is a represented a symbol of happiness and memory. Here in a kuch kuch hota hai movie, we can see a ladki badi anjani anjani hai song. uh, in archetype we can see a in a Macbeth we can see a archetype of blood and forest. uh, Blood represent guilt. After in a in a novel, in a drama after Duncan's murder, Lady Macbeth told Macbeth to wash the blood off his hands, though she had none on hers. Macbeth began to feel remorse and guilt. This burden literally visible by the blood on his hand. Lady Macbeth was hungry for Macbeth's rise to power, even more so than him. And that had occurred having no blood on her hands. Lady Macbeth later said that she would then play a blood on the servants, putting blame and guilt literally upon them. Uh, uh, in a in other scene, a forest represent mystery and evil, where witchcraft was practiced and evil murders. The three witches told Macbeth that he would be king until the forest meets the hills. Here, this sentence say represent a mystery. The soul in a other the soldiers took branches and discussed themselves to come to the hills to Macbeth castle, using a pieces of foreshadow for murder. Here is my work citation. Now we can ask a question.
Mansi, can you give some example of archetypal character in literature?
Yes, in uh, these characters are sometimes represent uh, archetypal symbols like a Hamlet and Macbeth represent a journey.
Mansi, how does archetypal criticism give a broad sense of literary theory and criticism?
Okay. Uh, we can say that archetype criticism give a broad sense of literary theory and criticism, because archetypal theory we apply any novel, any drama, and any short story we can apply archetypal theory. That's why we can say that archetypal criticism give a broad sense of literature. Thank you.
Very good noon to all of you. Today I am going to present about archetypal criticism and use of color in literature as an archetype. This is my personal information. So first we start with what is an archetype. An archetype is a literary device in which a character is created based on a set of qualities or traits that are specific and identifiable for readers. The term archetype is derived from the studies and writing of psychologist Carl Jung, who believed that archetypes are a part of humanity's collective unconscious or memory of universal experience. Archetype is a Greek word, and the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle was among the first to develop the notion of an archetypal character. Northrop Frye. Herman Northrop Frye was a Canadian educator and literary critic who became known as one of the most important literary theorists of the 20th century. Anatomy of Criticism. This essay is written by Northrop Frye, which is published in 1957. In this essay, writer talks about four uh, symbols and imagery, how we use symbols and imagery in our literary work, and how it convey a message to the readers. And he also try to connect seasons with genre of literature, he connect spring with comedy, summer with romance, and tragedy with autumn, and he talks about moods, symbols, myths, and genres referring to historical, ethical, archetypal, and rhetorical aspects of literature. Color as an archetype in literature. In literary work, a writer uses colors as an archetype. According to John Cage, 19th century literature and early modern periods developed symbolical values for colors differently. Color symbolism in literature refers to using colors in writing to represent something outside of their literal meaning. According to Frye, in literal phase, the motif is a centripetal, dealing with how a string of words sound instead of what they represent or mean outside of the text, like objects, people, or the society. Uh, Here I talk about which color say convey the message. Like a red color is for love, passion, and life, and in negative way it's evil, danger, violence, and destruction. Yellow color is for happiness, optimism, cheerfulness, and in negative way it represents sickness and madness. Green color for renewal, rebirth, and growing, achievement, and money. And in a negative way, it's used for jealousy and envy. Blue color represents calmness, serenity, and wisdom. And in a negative way, coldness and depression. Black color for sophistication, authority, and in a negative way, it's describe evil, despair, death. White color is for goodness and innocence, morality, and in negative way, it represents unhealthy and perfectionism. So here are examples from literary works. The Great Gatsby, it's written by Scott Fitzgerald, and in his work he uses colors as an archetype to convey a message to the readers. In novel, green color presents stability, new hope, envy, money. Green also embodies Gatsby's desire for higher status and Daisy's love. Blue color represents sadness and longing that Gatsby feels at the thought of Daisy. It expresses his loneliness. And the white color symbolizes purity and the romantic hope that J. Gatsby seen in Daisy. Here is a dialogue from original text. They were both in white, and their dresses were rippling and fluttering as if they had just been blown back in after a short flight around the house. In novel, green color is a very important symbolism, and it describes a major event and a message to the reader. Othello is a very famous work written by Shakespeare. In this work, Shakespeare talks about green-eyed monster. Here is a dialogue from original text. Oh, be aware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on. Green color was in negative a match with envy and jealousy. Shakespeare making its monster, suggesting that it's powerful and dangerous. He adds the question be aware to make it even more threatening. He uses some ordinary thing and turned it into the immortal, idiomatic, highly visual, fierce, green-eyed monster. It's a very famous dialogue in English literature also. So it's an example how writer uses different archetypes, color archetypes in their work, and it gives a deeper and major meaning to the reader, and it provides a symbolic meanings to reader. Color imagery in our contemporary time. So when we heard about Coke, so we visualize red image, and the McDonald's yellow image. When we think about Starbucks, we think about a green color, and Facebook and Twitter. It's use a blue color. So this brand can use colors to convey the message of their brands and values of their brands to their customers, and it's also archetype. The ambassador choose a color to convey their message of brands and value of their brands. uh, these brands colors are seen throughout the brands entirely, like a Starbucks has green in their store, on employee uniforms, on the website app, and on packaging. It's everywhere green color they use. And green color is symbolizes stability, wealth, and prosperity, calming and relaxing. So they try to convey a message of calming and relaxing to their customer. And blue color is used for Facebook and Twitter. So it's about professionalism, security, and they try to convey a message of trust to their user and customers. And even we see that for a baby shower ceremony, people use a pink and blue color. So pink color describe a girl, and a blue color describe a boy. So in our daily life, we can see this type of color archetypes, which is used in our daily life. So here I ask ChatGPT, what is archetypal criticism? Describe color as an archetype. So he gives a very relatable answer to this. And archetypal criticism is a literary theory that explore the patterns, symbols, and themes which is used in literature. So it's a very relatable answer given by ChatGPT. And in archetypal criticism, color symbolize different psychological states or emotion, and he gives example of black color and red color. So it's a very useful to conveying a message to the reader. So it's a relatable answer given by ChatGPT. Here are my word citations. Now, if you have a question, then ask.
You in your slide you mentioned which color represent which emotion, but in our Indian society, some color represent a superstition. Can you describe it?
Yes, black color in Indian society is used in a very bad manner. Black color, and it's a superstition. Black color is. So yes, it is.
Mansi, can you find any difference between color archetypes and other literary devices in archetypal criticism?
It, it.
Uh, can you find any difference between color archetypes and other literary devices which are used in archetypal criticism?
Difference between color archetypes and literary device in archetypal criticism. So, color archetypes is used to convey a message to reader. I didn't get your question. I will reply it in a comment section. Thank you.
Okay, so let us try to have a brief overview, summary of what good or what suggestions you can make also. What improvement you can make from a few suggestions. Okay, so Upasana started the day. Most of the things you have taken from one article written by Shaoni. From that it was taken, and those who are referring to north of Frye or any other writer like Bharat Muni's Natyashastra or work. So that is your seminal work. That should be in your citation, and some of the paragraphs from that should be taken. Not always from another articles, but from the original. You have studied original articles also, at least in north of Frye, practical criticism. And even this also, there is a material available on the website also, which is translated by edited book by Ganesh Devi. So that also can be cited. That this book is an authentic book from where you are taking some of the translation. So that is one thing that you have to keep in mind, that uh, the seminal works should be cited. That you should never forget with whatever you refer to. Cited means it doesn't mean only putting the list. When I say cited, you should have used things from that also. So next time you will put the citation and say we have done citation. The full meaning of citation means you have used that material in your slides also. And that is the full meaning of that. So that you have to see your addition you have to add when you take from all the sources. What is your thing that was missing? Trushali referred to several works. The presentation was good, but some of the sources which you have cited, for example, this was one I think you have taken. Yeah, this article you have cited. Now, if you see this, this article is hardly a page. Like sometimes abstract is longer than article. So it proves that the quality of the thing might not be that good. So you just started, and then there is conclusion. So that also, like, you yourself are a better judge to see whether what I am citing is of a quality or not. If I am taking something from something, as we have said, કે કુવામાં જ નહીં હોય તો અવેડામાં શું આવશે? અથવા એ જે ગટરમાં આપણે ડોલચી નાખશું તો પછી કે મારે ગંગાજળ આમાંથી લેવું છે, તો એમાં ગંગાજળ ગટરમાંથી ક્યાંથી નીકળે? તો એ જ આપણે સોર્સ જ આપણો નબળો હશે તો how will you be able to make your things look good or that? This was a good source of site which was referred. The Sanskrit documents. So there were some original works were given. So that was good that this also was referred from where the language. So this also is a very good site where in various languages also things are given. So one can also try various Hindi language also for Sanskrit and other things to see this.
Most of the languages, even Gujarati.
Gujarati also is the Indian languages are also given. This all Devanagari, Gujarati, Gurumukhi that you can find there. So this was a good source which can be referred.
Okay, then Rinkal, you discussed some of the examples which we discussed in the class, poetry, but the same lines you should have put on the slides also. The slides were not having those examples, so that you should have done. Otherwise, it was good that you used those resources. Even when you ask Chat GPT, your prompt is very important. What you are asking, that is what is very important. So exactly what you try to say, then you get proper response. So our prompts are not proper, then perhaps we may not get a proper response also. Riddhi presented on cinema and this emotion Rasa theory in Indian cinema. You cited couple of sources that were very good. One was this article, which was mentioned in your things, Bollywood, Rus, and Indian cinema, with specific reference to Slumdog Millionaire. This writer is writing with specific reference to Slumdog Millionaire. Then this also was good from Ohio site. It's a thesis. So this is also quite extensive work. How the Natyashastra informs contemporary Bollywood. This was the title, and it was for Doctor of Philosophy. So this also has some very interesting points which you can pick up to see how the methods are applied in applying or in reading this Rasa theory. So you write importance of the study, foundations of the study, purpose, statement of the problem, literature review, film theory, mass media theory, Bollywood in India, the Natyashastra, research gap you are finding, close reading of the Natyashastra, drama, dramatic success, theory of Ras, that is given, and then films like Sholay, it takes as a case study. Sholay and the Natyashastra. So dramatic success. Then Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge and Natyashastra. Ye Jawani Hai Diwani. So very popular films are being studied. So how the method is important. That what are they doing and how they try to apply the things. That becomes very important to be seen. So the source was good, but the same was not found in the presentation. So when you do that, that way of reading is very important that you have to bring when you reach to a good source. I think you were asked one question about let me share a screen. So I think this question was either to you or somebody who talked about cinema and Natyashastra. Can we say that Indian cinema places a greater emphasis on melodramatic representation of emotions rather than classical rasa described by Bharat? So when it was asked to Chat GPT, you can compare the answer that you have given and what this is giving. So it says it is difficult to make a sweeping generalization about Indian cinema. So you can't make such kind of general statement because there may be films which are using it in a proper way also. There might be which are not using it in a proper way. So generally seeing that, so the question was trying to make general observation that it is melodramatic representation and not of classical rasa. So it says that it is difficult to do that. Various styles and other things are there. Some of the films do make melodramatic representation of emotions. Then concept of ras is so and so. In contrast to what comes in that, Indian film tend to rely more heavily on exaggerated expressions of emotions. So this way, how you can give the answer, that it gives you an idea. So what you can learn, this is an era of self-learning. So how you can learn in your, like you may have a question that, well, this question is, how can I give a better answer? Whom to ask? That become a question, that every time, where will I go to ask? You will not find teachers also to help you at every moment. So now you have these tools which can help you. So how smartly you make use of that, the effect of that you can perceive in learning. So there might be people like, for those who know that they can give answers better than this, they may say that this is a stupid tool. But we can't say that. We can't say that this is because this is still giving better answers than what we are giving. Now, if you still have a doubt, your answer is also recorded. Listen your answer and the question, and then you match it. Now, if you think that your answer is still superior, for you, ChatGPT is a stupid device. If not, then it is something to be learned from. So the bandwagon might be going in society. You will find this person saying this, that person saying that. You will find a link that Noam Chomsky says that ChatGPT gives a false promise, or another expert will say it is just repeating the things and that. Well, fine, it is good, but for whom? For us, what is the need? That is what you have to see. And maybe you will find, I am finding that for you it is very useful. I think it is useful. Now, you may say you are smarter than ChatGPT, and so you may find that no, it is not useful to me. But then your perception about yourself is a wrong perception. If you feel that you are smarter than ChatGPT, then the perception is slightly wrong. You need to still very objectively compare the things that you do. So then you get that how to give answer. How you start an answer by countering the question, that your question tends to tell something that is very general. It is not possible to generalize in that way. Partly your question may be right, and then you answer that, and the part with which you don't agree, how you answer that part. So that is the structure in which the ChatGPT has answered this question. So that smartness also we learn about how to tackle the question. Okay, so then Rajeshvari's also was good. Good examples were given. Prompt also was put on the slide, so that was good. So we can understand that what you actually asked, that you got the answer, because we know that we can never generate the same language again and again. So if you ask something and then I ask you that what have you asked, what you will speak will not be exactly that, because that exact words never come to us. So it will be something else. Now that something else always generates some another response. So that exact words can be seen. When we see, then we believe, okay, this is what you have given as a prompt question. You have written in your citation that there is one book that was cited and you have said accessed on this. Now that is not a fair way for print material. It is only for online material. For online material only you have to cite accessed on which site, not about the print, because print materials don't change overnight. એક વખત બુક પબ્લિશ થઈ ગઈ તો એવી ને એવી જ રહે. તમે 18મી સદીમાં વાંચી હોય કે 21મીમાં વાંચી હોય, તો વેબસાઇટ આખી એક રાતમાં બદલી જાય. તમે હમણાં વાંચીને કાલે બેઠા હો ને if I check, I find it is not there. So you can say yesterday it was there. અત્યારે કોઈ વેબસાઇટ એડિટ કરી નાખી હશે. That is why this date is important. So even when there is a particular format, that why, એ પણ પ્રશ્ન આપણને થાય કે આ શું કામ? Why one has to put accessed on which date? Then you will understand for books it is not necessary. And in your response you got this structure of presentation. So that is a good idea, that when you respond, so you can say that this way you can prepare your presentation. So first you give this, then you discuss this, then third discuss, then this way you conclude. So this gives you a very good idea that if you are making a presentation, you want a broad trajectory of your presentation, then you can try and ask Maybe you may get a good structure that, okay, right, talk about this, and then conclude in this way. So that will help you a lot in making a presentation. So this again is what is required to most of you also. You require that how you are moving, where you begin, where you reach to a climax, and how you are concluding. That you also need. So if you think you want an idea, you can ask this kind of AIs to help you in that. Pooja's presentation also was good, and good examples and other things were also given in that. When you put photographs or when you refer to that, also you have to cite. So photographs also are the this copyright property of the people. So that also from which site you have taken, that also needs to be cited, or any other examples that you have given. All those things needs to be cited. So if you talk about lyrics, who are the writers of the lyrics? એટલે આમ બોલતા બોલતા આપણે 10 ગીત બોલી નાખીએ, પછી હવે 10 ને સાઇટ કરો, એટલે પછી આપણે બે નો જ ઉદાહરણ આપીએ કે 10 ના ક્યારે સાઇટ કરી લે, એના કરતા બે જ આપીએ. So that way your work becomes more strong also. So that you have to give by lyricists. Who are those lyricists? And then you have to also see when you talk about Ras and Bhav, Nishpati. You gave this example, kahin deep jale kahin dil. Now then you say it is bhayanak ras. Now if you see the words, it is not bhayanak, but the visuals are bhayanak. But you are not talking about visuals, you are talking about words. So it means there is a problem. So that is the point of discussion, that from where the ras comes. Does it come from the words or from the visuals? And both the things are different. So then it gives you lots of gap to discuss that how these words, when they match with a particular kind of a music and then a particular kind of a visual, it leads to bhayanak ras. If it is without music, there is no effect of bhayanak. Like if you see horror film without music, you will not at all feel any kind of bhayanak or any that ras. So that ras is not coming from words, but is coming from maybe loudness of music or a curious use of music. So that you say that music is there. Payal talked about, so in this metaphor you were asking, yesterday night I lost my mobile. I forgot my mobile on a car and then I drove away. So it fell somewhere near Taki and Aksar Mandir, and then somebody found and he gave me a mobile. He was a good person. So but then couple of vehicles passed on that. So it was not workable. Like the display is distorted, so I have to give for repair. So if you send me in WhatsApp, I can't read that. So you sent a message, this title or that title, but because of that, I was not able to read that message also. But there's two types of metaphors. If you see what he says sense metaphor and emotive metaphor. And these are not types of metaphor. This you say tenor and vehicle. They are not types of metaphors. They are the way of parts of metaphors. Parts of a metaphor and types or kinds of metaphor is a different thing. So one metaphor has two things, that is tenor and vehicle. That way. So it is not types are sense metaphor and emotive metaphor. We are still citing from academia, which we are saying that avoid citing from those things, try to reach to the original article. Nirali presented, and there was, I think you also had, now you asked to chat GPT this question about movies on Auchitya and that. So that obviously, I think we can get that sense that this kind of things is not possible. Like, how can you get Auchitya in movies? So what is Auchitya and how you find that? That is very difficult to see. It is not that easy. All the films will have it and will not have it also. So what you apply and how, in which part of a film you try to apply this. Is it in dialogues? Is it in the songs? It is in the frames. That all also, your question also needs to have proper grounding. That what I am asking and how we can see that. when this effectiveness of, there was one question that was asked in literary works, that was the question that was asked. So when you give that answer, you have to also give some examples. When you, everybody, when you try to give answer, you also have to try to see that you give this with some examples also. Mansi on archetypes. Okay. So you referred to a couple of sources, and two examples that you have given. One was a Hindi cinema and another was Macbeth. This. So you will see Macbeth, the example was very appropriate. Like you said, blood and forest, two things. And blood refers to guilt. Forest refers to mystery and evil. So blood and forest are what we call it as very tangible things, which we can see and we can touch. And guilt is abstract thing. So how from a concrete metaphor or archetype you go to something that is abstraction. Now, when you have given examples in Hindi, you said love, garden, monsoon together. Now, love is abstract. Garden is something tangible. So, how to get this idea that something that is visible, tangible, concrete, and it carries abstract emotions. Then you have to use only concrete to abstract. You have to move in that. This is concrete and what abstraction it can lead towards. That way you can observe and see. If you mix up both the things, then it will kill the meaning, or the very sense also will be killed also in that when you try to see that idea. Insia also on archetypes, and in that example also we had this good illustrations of green color, for example. So in green keeps on changing. So archetypes are also connected with overall context within which it will have its own meaning. So green in Gatsby becomes hope. Hope. It is a kind of a hope as a metaphor. In Othello, it becomes jealousy. Now, hope and jealousy, if you see, and you try to apply Northrop Frye's archetypes, he tries to divide into two realms, tragic realms and comic realms. So, hope will go into comic realm, which may lead to happiness in life. And jealousy goes into negative emotion. Hope is a positive emotion. And negative emotion leads towards tragic realm. So that way it changes. So green color itself in both the things, one goes towards tragic realm, other towards. Now, if this way you draw a kind of a graphic, infographic, then it becomes very effective, or appropriate application of Northrop Frye in reading that also. And then when you try to chat GPT, it said it is all about growth and new beginning. So it is going towards more of how generally people look at green means grass, prosperity, greenery. In that way it has seen. It has not seen very deeply as archetypal criticism of literature, or literature is trying to look at that idea. So you get third idea also in that. It can be like, it all depends upon context. You can't say that it is with that only. So that is the point here, that what we get from this is that you can't generalize. You have to see the context in which and how it comes. Then you give the meaning also. So that is a very important examination that one has to do. That what the context is telling, and then how it is unfolding there. And in your chat GPT response, you got this, that it talks about colors, in archetype talks about psychological states or emotion. Now, this expression is very good. So you can get this vocabulary also, that okay, this way I can say, these words I should use. So perhaps if you in your own way write, then you may not get this word. Psychological states or psychological emotions are reflected through colors. So that way you learn that how proper words, appropriate, this Auchitya we say, appropriate phrases can be used to express something. In that way also, earlier people were making use of thesaurus. Thesaurus means dictionary of synonyms. Thesaurus is not brother of dinosaurus or any other thing, but it is you can say brother sister of dictionary, where synonyms and antonyms are given. Synonyms. So for one word, you get variety of other words. So you are not happy with one word, so you are looking. So what people are taught, writing skills નો તમે વર્કશોપ કરો તો એમાં શીખવાડે કે તમારે આ લખવું છે પણ તમને આ શબ્દ અધૂરો લાગે છે તો શું કરવું, તો કે થિસોરસ નો ઉપયોગ કરો અને ત્યાં જુઓ બીજા એપ્રોપ્રિએટ શબ્દ તમને મળે કે નહીં. MS વર્ડ પણ એનો ઉપયોગ કરે છે. એટલે એ પ્રિન્ટેડ થિસોરસ વર્ષોથી આપણે ઉપયોગ કરતા હતા. હવે એનું એક એડવાન્સ વર્ઝન આવ્યું છે, ચેટ જીપીટી. એટલે જે પેલું તમે ઓફિશિયલી રેકમેન્ડ કરતા તો આમાં કેમ ના પાડે? You were telling students that you should use dictionary in the class, and we remember we were supposed to carry dictionary in the class. Pocket dictionaries were coming, so it was expected in schools and other thing. Now we expect that in your mobile you keep dictionary. With the changing time, પછી હવે અમે ભણે એમ જ તમને ભણાવીએ કે ના તમારે પોકેટ ડિક્શનરી જ લઈને આવવાની, આ ડિજિટલ ડિક્શનરી નહીં, તો એ અમારી જડસુ માનસિકતા કહેવાય, જે અમારામાં ઘણા બધામાં છે. એટલે એ ના પાડે કે નહીં, એ નહીં, પેલી જ લઈને આવો, અમે જેમ ભણ્યા એમ જ તમે ભણો, ભલે દુનિયા બદલાઈ ગઈ હોય તો પણ ભણવાનું અમારી જેમ જ તમારે. The world is changing, so also you are not supposed to change. એવી માનસિકતા ઘણા, એની સામે આપણે સંઘર્ષ કરવો પડે કે ના એ ન ચાલે. With the changing time you have to change. આપણે બહુ કહાવતો કહેતા, change is the species of life. જીવનમાં કોઈ વસ્તુ એક શાશ્વત હોય તો એ છે બદલાવ. તો બદલાવ લાવવા તૈયાર ન થાય. જીવીએ 20મી સદીના ખડૂસ માણસની જેમ, રહેતા હોય 21માં તો એ જ માનસિકતા આપણે મનમાં પાલતા રહીએ અને એમ જ આપણે કરતા રહીએ. So this comes here because I know you may face many of those arguments that ChatGPT is doing this, so this is the, so what are the arguments? You will say that, well, if I use thesaurus, what's problem? તમે recommend કરો કે નહીં? ડિક્શનરી નો recommendation કરો કે નહીં? તમે કયો ડિક્શનરી વાપરવી જોઈએ કે ન વાપરવી જોઈએ? So everybody will say yes. So it is like that. It helps in language. It helps, and because we need that, so and now we have to learn how to use it effectively. That also is there. So that way you get words when you try to work on this. Even the exam question that was asked, and you also generalized this black color is superstitious. So that also is one has to always save oneself from generalizing. That is what ChatGPT is time and again telling, that it's not need to generalize, because once that is that black color is a bad color, a color of ill omen, then it becomes easy to frighten the people from those people who are wearing black color burqas and hijabs. It becomes so easy for other people. Now that is what we have to stop, because you never know what we believe unconsciously is used politically. આપણને ખબર નથી કે આજે આપણે માન્યતામાં માનીએ છીએ આ કેટલી ખતરનાક વસ્તુ છે. આનો ઉપયોગ પોલિટિકલી લોકો કેમ કરે છે અને કઈ રીતે લોકો ભડકાયેલા રહે પણ છે આનાથી હકીકતની દુનિયામાં, એનો પણ આપણને ખ્યાલ આવતો નથી. લેંગ્વેજ સ્ટડી જો આપણને એ જાગૃત ન કરી શકે તો આપણે બધું ભણ્યા એ પાણીમાં નાખી દેવાનું. Then everything is useless if we don't. That is how language helps us in seeing this.
So even white color is because in a Hindu we are wearing white on death also and on the marriage also.
On the marriage also, both the thing. So that is why. So how one colors are contextual and how people use that we have to see, is it? So there are a few other questions like this which I tried to ask to ChatGPT. In what way might the Rus theory help us to improve our own emotional intelligence? So that was the good question. So Rus theory, it gives a very interesting answer. Is also about this, and then he says that it helps in recognizing emotions, regulating emotions, expressing emotions, empathy. Yeah, so this way, so can you give answer in this way? That is the question. So no, then we need to learn a lot from this. So now once you have a better answer than this, then you can say that this is not required. Then do archetypes pass down through DNA from generation to generation to both humans and animals? This was also one of the questions. It was also a good question that was asked. So you can say that how it is a universal symbol, and there are no physical structures that can be passed down through DNA, but rather innate psychological structures that are present in all human beings. So no scientific evidence to support the idea that archetypes are passed through DNA from generation to generations. However, it is possible that certain behaviors or traits associated with archetypes, such as maternal instinct, એટલે એક માતાને એમના બચ્ચાને બચાવવાની જે એક ઈચ્છા હોય, એમનું રિએક્શન એવું હોય, એ બધા જ એનિમલમાં જોવા મળે. That it will always try. That is called maternal instinct. Or the urge to protect one's offspring. May, see the word may. કે ના is નથી કહેતા કે ના આમ હોય જ, એ કોઈ ખાતરી નથી. એટલે may have a genetic basis and be passed down through genes. Nonetheless, see the word nonetheless. Nonetheless શબ્દ તમે ક્યારે વાપરેલો? યાદ કરો ક્યાંય લખવામાં. Nonetheless, તો these are connectors which you have to learn કે કેમ લખવું, અને આ બધું આવવું જોઈએ. તમારા જવાબમાં આપણે જોશું વર્કશોપમાં કે આવા કોઈ માર્કર્સ આવે છે when you write your answers in exam. So it means there are lots of things to be learned from this kind of tools to improve our language competency. Nonetheless, this does not mean that the archetypes themselves are passed down through DNA, but rather that certain innate behavioral tendencies or predispositions might be inherited. Might be. There is no guarantee, no scientific evidence. So that is how you can give the answer, and you can learn from this also. How does archetypal criticism give a broad sense of literary theory and criticism? How? So in one simple thing, by identifying the archetypes that appear in them and analyzing how they function within the text. Within the text, within the context. Text is our context. Within that, how they function. Then we can say green color functions in this way, black color functions in this way, this character functions in this way, and then we can analyze that. So that is how it can help in giving us a broad sense of literary theory and criticism also. So this way it gives very interesting answers. So the questions that are asked to you, you should be not satisfied with the answer that you have given. You should ask that again. If you are satisfied, there is no chance of improvement. If you are not satisfied, there are chance of improvement. And so always be hungry. That's why it is a stay hungry, stay foolish. Then you will keep on improving. So that those questions which you have received, try to ask and see what can be the better way of answering those things. So don't leave it as such, but try to explore, and that is how we learn from this activity. Yes. Fine. This way, yeah. Fear of that, so they might be, yeah, that is. So there are instincts. These are all basic instincts which all human beings and animals they have in common. Okay, we end our session here with